My first awareness is of not being able to breathe. I try to take a breath and nothing happens. My chest won't expand, none of the muscles used for breathing expand. I feel like I'm suffocating. Why can't I breathe? I will die if I don't breathe. I focus all the mental energy I can muster and try again to take a breath. This time a whisper of a breath goes in through my open mouth just to tickle the back of my throat and then out again. What a monumental effort that took. What an awful gasping, wheezing noise accompanied it. Did that noise come from me? I focus as hard as I can again and do the same. Another whisper of a breath repeats its journey just as far as my throat with that sound which caused my 16-year-old son to later say, "You were making weird noises when you were trying to breathe." Then into my awareness roars the most excruciating pain I had ever experienced. The searing in my chest explains why it will not move when I breathe. Then there is the intense burning sensation across my lower lap, and then burning, throbbing pain over every inch of my body. My oldest son Daniel's terrified voice comes somewhere from my left. "Mom, are you all right?" No, I'm definitely not all right, but I cannot respond. I cannot even get the thought together, let alone put it into words. I hear awful moaning sounds from behind me. Is someone else hurt? Again Daniel's panicked voice. "Megan, Tim, are you guys okay?" Oh my God, those are my other children. More moans. What's happened? What's happened? I appear to be in the front passenger seat of my car, but it looks so different. I am strapped in with my seatbelt, but my seat is twisted, so it is almost facing the door, which is open. I am in so much pain. I feel like I have been beaten from head to toe with a baseball bat. Oh my God, that's what's happened. We've been attacked and robbed. The thieves must have attacked us with baseball bats and attacked the car as well, as it seems to be disabled. Panic rushes through me as I want to tell Daniel that we have to get out of the car and away from here because they may come back. However, again, I don't know how to put it into words, and the thought quickly leaves me, as do all the thoughts that enter my head. Come back, I hear next, and a woman is leaning into the car and shaking me. Daniel also still in the car to my left, still panicked, holding my hand and adding to the chorus with, "Mom, come back, please come back." What are they talking about? I haven't moved from this spot. This is all much too confusing. This happens a few times, usually just after I feel very sleepy. Apparently I'm drifting in and out of consciousness. What happened? I asked Daniel. We were in an accident, is his reply. Apparently I can't remember asking this or his reply for more than a few seconds, as he tells me sometime later that I asked and he answered several times that night. I don't remember. I look at what I can see of my car that no longer looks like my car. Things aren't where they were. Everything is twisted at an angle and mangled. Something white is hanging from the dashboard, which is the deflated airbag, but I won't comprehend that until much later. The bottom of the seat that I'm sitting on is broken in several places and hanging. The window in front of me is shattered where my head collided with it, which has caused small tears in my brain and scrambled the brain cells that are left, which is why I cannot remember what I'm being told and why I cannot put a thought into words. I cannot see out the front window, which puzzles me until much later, when I see my car on the lot to which it was towed, and see that the engine was pushed up so that it blocked the front window. I've become aware of a smell that I'm trying to place. It is the smell emitted by the deflated airbag, but I don't know that at the time. As I try to place the smell, I start to think it smells like gas. Panic again. I think there is a gas leak and the car is going to explode into flames. Again, I want to tell Daniel we have to get out of the car, but I cannot put the thought into words. Daniel is still sitting in the car with me because his door is jammed shut. He is 23 years old and was driving when a car coming in the opposite direction, lost control, swerved into our lane and hit us head on. He is holding my hand and telling me to hold on, Mom, please hold on, an ambulance is coming. I realize it is silent in the back of the car and I ask for Megan and Tim. Daniel tells me someone took them out of the car and they are being looked after across the street. Terror screams through me as I think that they have died in the accident and no one wants to tell me. I cannot put the thought into words. I can only whisper where. Daniel points out of the open car door and says they're right there. I look out the door and the world outside looks like a jigsaw puzzle that someone has taken apart, thrown all the pieces in the air, and they have landed haphazardly on the ground. I cannot make any sense of what I'm seeing. I cannot see my children. More terror, as I don't know if Daniel is protecting me from the truth of their death. Mercifully, this is another thought that I am unable to hold on to for very long. I am suddenly very cold. Someone puts a blanket on me. I am still cold. More blankets. They make no difference. Worried faces keep leaning into the car and murmuring words I cannot comprehend. 2 men have been working on opening Daniel's door and finally get it open. Daniel jumps out and runs off, and again I hear terror in his voice as he shouts, "Someone help my mum! Someone help my mum!" My heart breaks to hear him. I'm his mother. I should be helping him. But I am physically and mentally completely helpless. The ambulance arrives and I'm on a stretcher being taken out of my tomb of a car. I now see the huge crowd that has gathered with very somber faces. I later heard that the sound of the crash was heard for several blocks. My ex-husband arrives as I am put in the ambulance and comes over and puts his head in. The EMT who is in the ambulance with me stands up, points a finger and loudly says to him, "Out." He gives his usual reply whenever he wants preferential treatment anywhere, and which never ceases to annoy me. "I'm Dr. Jones." As the EMT says, "I don't get who you are. You ain't coming in my ambulance." I want to laugh, but I'm unable. I want to raise my arm and pump my fist and say, "Yes, you go, girl." But again, I can't even get the thought together, and if I could talk, it would only come out in a whisper, and I can barely lift a finger, let alone a whole arm and pump it. I'm her ex-husband. He will not let her have the last word. So what comes to my scattered mind in the vague way that all the thoughts are drifting through my mind, as if it is full of holes and cannot contain anything that enters it? Well, in that case, maybe you can tell us which hospital to take her to, because she can't, replies Miss EMT. She's right. She has asked me several times whether I want to be taken to Doctor's Hospital, Princess Margaret Hospital. The words Doctor's Hospital enters my mind and then quickly escape before I can comprehend their meaning, and before the words Princess Margaret Hospital enter and escape. I cannot process the meaning of the words, let alone hold two concepts in my mind at the same time, compare them, and then make a decision. I cannot explain this to her, as I cannot put these thoughts together. I'm only aware of her words floating aimlessly past me as I try desperately to grasp them. I just stare at her in silence. As we head for the hospital, Miss EMT phones into the ER with information about me. Who gave her this information? I don't remember giving it to her. She tells them I'm a known hypertensive. A known hypertensive? Is that like a known fugitive? Do they have my picture posted somewhere on a wanted poster with other people being searched for because they could be guilty of hypertension? Well, they've caught me. I am strapped onto a stretcher, unable to move, being taken to one hospital or another at breathtaking speed with sirens blaring. My stretcher suddenly slides from the left side of the ambulance to the right as the ambulance takes a corner and I scream soundlessly in pain. Miss EMT interrupts her monologue with the ER to stand up and hang onto the sides of the ambulance and yell at the driver, "Hey, slow down, you could get all of us." She then returns to her phone. The stretcher immediately slides back to the left, indicating the driver had no intention of slowing down as he takes another corner. "That fool," mutters Miss EMT. Then she looks in my eyes, sees the pain and says, "Charlie, I know that must have hurt." Hurt it did, but I felt an immense appreciation for the driver who is so intent on getting me to the hospital as fast as he possibly can. As for me, as Miss AMT, I had fallen in love with her as soon as she had ordered my ex out of the ambulance. My time in the ER is spent staring at Christmas decorations hanging from the ceiling since it is the day after Christmas. I cannot look in any other direction as Miss EMT has put a neck brace on me, and in any case, as I found out later when it was taken off, the slightest movement of my head produces incredibly painful spasms in my neck. It would be explained to me on one of my follow-up visits with the ER doctor that I had severe neck whiplash and whiplash of my entire body, for which I will be on antispasmodics for 2 weeks, along with narcotics and anti-inflammatories for much longer. Little do I know that this is just the beginning of a lifetime of pills, as a brain injury would lead to scars that would cause seizures and sleeping problems, for which I would need daily medication, and sleep apnea, for which I would need to sleep every night, with a mask on my face hooked up to a machine to make sure I don't stop breathing in my sleep. I would also need to take medication for chronic pain due to the many other injuries that cause my entire body to go into spasm for protection. This body spasm would make it impossible for me to pass urine that night, and I would have to be catheterized. My neck would grow painful bone spurs to protect my bruised spinal cord, and I would need surgery to relieve the pain of a shoulder injury. I would also need surgery to remove the cataracts that grew over my eyes due to the airbag exploding in my face. However, as I stare at the ceiling with symbols of a joyful season, I know none of what is to come. In fact, I know very little of anything because my brain is hardly working anymore. The news comes from the other hospital that the man who hit us died. I am shattered like my mind. So is Daniel. We will find out later from the autopsy report that he was heavily intoxicated. His decision to drink to intoxication and then drive a car completely changed my life in the split second that it took for our two cars to collide. When I think of the life I had before, it seems like a dream of someone else's life. When I think of my life now as a result of the crash, it seems like a nightmare from which I cannot wake up. Thank you.